Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. Might notice I have a different background from what I normally have. I explain this fully in my weekly wrap-up for the week of February 22nd. But short summary is that we had an ice storm, got on some branches and a tree in our yard. Branch came down, took out our power line, as well as our phone and cable, internet. Got the power restored after a couple of days, but there was a surge that fried a board on the boiler, and got that repaired with a temporary repair the next day. But after one day without power, my sister and myself got a couple of rooms at a local hotel. We extended the stay, and everything, the important stuff is mostly back, but we still have a little more time in the hotel, so I'm going to try to record several videos. In this video I'm going to do the Booktuber Name Tag. I was tagged in a video by Pat at Book Chat with Pat, and a video by Gavin at Genre Books 23. I repeat what they said to properly credit the creator of this tag. Booktuber Name Tag. This is a brand new original tag that was created by Aaron at Aaron Read a Book, and I was tagged by Aaron as well. Aaron says this is the 2025 edition of the Booktuber Name Tag. I've made 9 of my favorite BookTube channels into book prompts. These are all top channels. Please go immediately subscribe to all of them. I've tagged them all below. That was what he said. I didn't actually tag all these channels, unfortunately. I am familiar with some of them, but because I'm going to tag a bunch of people to do this, I didn't tag the people in this, the names that generate these 9 prompts. Although 3 of them I actually do follow. The prompts. There are 11 prompts in this tag. The first prompt is Books and Bocadillos. Book which features or is about food. The book I'm selecting is The Music of Bees by Gavin. In this book, there's 3 people. They're kind of floundering, and they form a kind of a found family in trying to raise the bees on a farm. And the food in this book is honey, and that's why I think this is a good book for this prompt. It's actually a really nice book to read too, about how people can kind of 3 people that are not doing well can get together and raise each other up. The second prompt is genre books, a book you like in a genre you don't usually read. This book is William Shakespeare's Cymbeline, unabridged by William Shakespeare. This was the one book I read for Shake-Tember. And although I didn't understand everything about it, I did enjoy it. Picked it because I'd never heard of it before. Not that I qualify remotely as a Shakespeare scholar, but picked it because I'd never heard of it before. And as I said, I quite enjoyed it. The third prompt is Bookstalgic, a book that makes you feel nostalgic. For this book, I'm selecting Casper the Friendly Ghost Classics Volume 1. Just a book that, this is a comic graphic novel of a selection of collection of Casper comics with important characters in the Casper universe. Just a book that brings me back to my youth. So, very nostalgic for me. Quite enjoyable to read a Casper book again. The fourth prompt is Book Songs and Other Magic, a book about or featuring magic a book about or featuring music or magic. Bonus points for magical music. Thought long and hard, but I couldn't find a book that speaks about magical music. But for music, I selected Mud Ride by Apple Tepidellum and Steve Turner. This is a book about the history of grunge, the formation of it, and the history. Steve Turner is a member of the band Mudhoney, which didn't rise to the heights of, say, Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam, but still around occasionally. Quite an interesting book. If you like grunge, otherwise it's probably not of interest. The magic book I'm selecting is This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron. This is a kind of a fairy tale retelling. The main character, Rhesus, She can control plants and they have an affinity to her, so if she's walking along, they'll kind of bend toward her. She and her two moms live in Brooklyn, where there's not many plants, so it's fairly easy to hide her abilities and the fact that plants are attracted to her. But she ends up inheriting a house, and they moved to upstate New York, and where there's a lot of plants, and she explores her powers. The fifth prompt is Passage of Time, a book that's set over a long time frame. For this one, I'm going to select a nonfiction book, and that nonfiction book is The Middle Ages, a graphic history by Eller Janega. It's kind of self-explanatory. It's a history of the Middle Ages, and that's a long period of time. The sixth prompt is Your True Shelf, a book you wouldn't believe was a true story. This book, there's no book I could think of that I didn't believe was a true story, really. But this is a book I wish wasn't a true story, and that book is Hello, I Want to Die, Please Fix Me, Depression in the First Person by Anna Mailer-Paperny. She's a Canadian reporter who suffered through serious depression, attempts to unalive herself, and she researched the healthcare system in Canada and the healthcare system in the U.S. and a little bit in other parts of the world, but mostly Canada and the U.S. And she discovered it really wanting. And as a person who's suffered from serious depression a couple times in my life and less serious in other times, and I've read extensively about mental health issues, it was disturbing to me that things are as bad as they are. I naively thought that they were better than they are, but this book shows that they could still go a long way. In developed countries like U.S. and Canada, Europe too, could be much better. Wasn't surprised by it, more depressed. I just wish it wasn't true. The seventh prompt is Spread Book Joy, joyous book that makes you happy. When I answer these and other tags, I always have trouble answering. I don't read particularly happy books. I mean, I guess you could say the romances I read end well, but the ones I like best, the characters are troubled and maybe they have a happy ending, but it's not really necessarily happy until it gets to the ending. But one I selected is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. It's a YA romance. A young man and young woman in school in England, and they do have their traumas and difficulties, but it's not to the depth that most of the books that I read are. It's a really good YA romance. I really liked it. The eighth prompt is Book Chat with Pat, a book with great dialogue. For this one, I'm going to select The Brothers Karamazov Bicentennial Edition, a novel in 4 parts with epilogue by Fyodor Dostoevsky, Larissa Bolokonsky, translator, and Richard Pavar, translator. And I think it is important to include the translators because the dialogue wouldn't translate as great from Russian into English if the translators weren't really good. But this is a very dialogue-heavy book. And interestingly, Pat, who tagged me in this video and this prompt is named after, is going to be reading this book. So I'm going to really be interested in hearing what she thinks about it. I liked it. It took about 100 pages and kind of settled in. It was a little hard going at first. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I did like it. And I had a sense of accomplishment when I finished it because it is a quite big book. I think 800-900 pages. The ninth prompt is Roving Reader, a book that's set in multiple countries or lands. This one I'm going to select Journey to the Interior of Earth by Jules Verne. And it is Journey to the Interior of Earth. That was what the version I read was called, as opposed to what I knew it as, A Journey to the Center of the Earth. Basically, they travel through the Earth to the other side of the world. So that's a lot of locations. Not really land because it's within the world, but there is 2 lands where they start and where they finish. And they're just traveling through a lot of spaces. The 10th prompt is Bonus, a book that matches your own channel name or a channel you love. I'm not going to try the channel I love one. When I did this one last year, early when I started on Booktube, and at that time I did name name a channel, but there's so many now that I just don't like singling out or one or two and just type. But for my own name, that creature is a griffin. Sometimes spelled G-R-F-F-I-N, sometimes G-R-Y-F-H-O-N. I think sometimes maybe G-R-I-F-F-E-N. But it's a mythological creature. It's a half lion, half eagle. And there are griffins prominently featured in the Fourth Wing series, especially in Onyx Storm, which I'm reading now. Griffins are prominently featured. And that is a version of my name. The 11th prompt is tag some others. First I'll say, if you're watching this video, please consider yourself tagged. If you'd like to do a video, one or more of the prompts, if you'd like to answer one or more of the prompts in my comments, if you don't do videos, both would be good. If you do a video, please tag me. I'd like to watch it. But I am going to tag some people specifically. And I'll be candid, some of these people may have done this, but due to what I talked about early on, the problems we had with our power and boiler, I haven't been watching so many YouTube videos this week. And I never try to catch up because that's too hard. I just kind of maybe go back a little bit and go forward. So apologize if I've said your name and you already did this. But the people I'm tagging are Nigel at Reading Ideas -UZ9SK, John at Disquiet and Dragons -LH3ZM, Nix at Nix Reads, Smitty at Booksmitten, Kayla V at Reading with Kayla V, Justin at Triumphal Reads, Melena at Melena Milano 8833, Fred at Read by Fred, Flossie at the Grape Jelly Library, Maeve at Maeve_ever_books, I at I Lie with 2 I's, Cliff at Cliff Dark Gems, Nicole at Nicole's Bookish Nook, Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading, Jen at Literally Love 123, Renee at Beyond Books -WT5IT, Sue at Sue's Book Banter, Philip at Poet Reads to Write, Brian at Adventures_in_literature, Kevin at Kevin Toll 9665, and Dr. Cranky Pants at Dr. Cranky Pants Reads. Again, if you think you might like doing it, please do so. No expectation if it isn't something you think you enjoy, but it's an interesting... Actually, I find all tags interesting. That's why I do them. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos. I hope you're having a wonderful reading week, and I hope you're having a wonderful week in general.